16 years as a single father fighting to give my daughter Sarah everything she deserved, and on her wedding day, I overheard her fiancé telling his friends, "Marrying that worthless pig of a daughter is the price for getting my hands on that fortune." In that moment, something shattered inside me. I decided he'd never see a penny of what I'd built, even if it meant destroying my only daughter's perfect wedding dream. But before we go on, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from. We love hearing how far our stories are reaching. The clock read 10:13 a.m. as I finished adjusting my best man suit. My daughter Sarah was getting married in less than 5 hours, and everything had to be flawless. 16 years of single parenting had taught me to pay attention to every detail, and this day was no exception. I'd saved every cent to give my only child the wedding of her dreams. The hotel hosting the ceremony was elegant but understated compared to Ethan's standards. The groom came from old money, though his family had hit hard times lately. I'd never mentioned it to Sarah, but I'd noticed how his interest in her spiked once our little bakery started taking off. In the last 3 years, we'd gone from a makeshift kitchen to one of the top fine dessert suppliers in the San Diego area. "Dad, can you grab my bouquet from the groom's prep room?" "I left it there when I dropped off his gift," Sarah asked while the makeup artist put the finishing touches on her. I nodded with a smile. My daughter looked radiant, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. She'd always dreamed of a fairy tale ending, and I wanted to believe she'd found her prince. I walked down the hotel hallway, careful not to wrinkle my suit. The ballroom was already being decorated with white and gold floral arrangements I'd picked out myself. I approached the room where Ethan and his groomsmen were getting ready. The door was slightly ajar, and I heard bursts of male laughter. I was about to knock when Ethan's voice cut through, clear and mocking. "Just a few more hours, guys. Then I signed those partnership papers, get my hands on her bakery, and we're set. Marrying that worthless pig of a daughter is a small price to pay to recover what my dad lost in business." I froze, my legs turning to jelly, my heart skipping a beat. Instinctively, I stepped back from the door and leaned against the wall to steady myself. "But you'll have to sleep with her, man," said a voice I recognized as Brian's, his best friend. "Nothing a bottle of whiskey can't fix," Ethan replied amid laughter. "She's so pathetic. She actually believes me when I say I love her. And her dad, that old fool, slaving away day and night at the bakery. He has no idea that in 6 months we sell it all and he goes back to the slums where he belongs." The laughter grew louder. Blood boiled in my veins. My breath came in short gasps. My vision blurred for a second, and I had to fight the urge to burst in and end that creep's dental career by yanking out his teeth one by one. "And when she starts crying over nothing, she looks like a beached whale," Ethan went on mercilessly. I couldn't take it anymore. With shaking hands and a broken heart, I slipped away quietly. Sarah, my girl, my pride, was about to marry a monster who saw her as nothing but a means to an end. I returned to her room without the bouquet. My mind raced, trying to process what I'd heard. How could I tell Sarah? Would she believe me or think I was sabotaging her wedding? "Dad, are you okay?" "Where's the bouquet?" Sarah asked, noticing my face. "It was locked." "I'll get the key," I lied, buying time. I stepped out again, closed the door, and pressed my forehead against the cool wood. Silent tears streamed down my cheeks. I had to decide, and fast. I pulled out my phone and called Antonia, my accountant and longtime friend, the one person I trusted completely with finances. "Antonia, I need you at the Palms Hotel right now, and bring those contingency documents we prepared last year. Yes, the emergency ones." "No, I can't explain now. It's urgent." She agreed without questions. That's how our friendship worked. Next, I called my lawyer. If Ethan thought he'd lay a finger on what I'd built with sweat and tears, he was dead wrong. Time was short, but I was determined. I took a deep breath, wiped my tears, and returned to Sarah's room with resolve in my heart. As a father, I faced 2 equally painful choices: shatter my daughter's wedding dream by revealing the truth, or let her walk into a trap set by a man who only wanted to use her. I watched her in the mirror as the stylist finished her hair. Sarah smiled, oblivious to the storm brewing. Her lace dress was simple and elegant, just as she'd always wanted. I'd saved for years for this day, working endless nights at the bakery. "You look beautiful," I said, my voice choked. "Dad, Don't cry yet. You'll ruin your makeup, she teased, unaware of the real reason for my tears. What she didn't know was that in the next few hours, I'd take drastic steps that would change our lives forever. The determined man who'd built a business from nothing was about to show his claws. Antonia arrived in record time, carrying a black briefcase. We met in the hotel lobby, in a discreet corner near the emergency stairs. "Richard, what happened?" she asked, concerned. I told her everything I'd overheard, every vile word from Ethan's mouth. Antonia paled, then rage flared in her eyes. "That bastard," she muttered. "What are we doing?" "Implementing the contingency plan now. Not later, not tomorrow. Now." The plan was something we'd set up when expanding the business, a way to protect it if anything happened to me. I'd never imagined using it to block a scheming son-in-law from taking over. "Richard, are you sure?" "This will cut Ethan off completely from the assets, but it also means Sarah can't touch the money until the terms we set." "Yes, I'm sure. It's the only way to protect her." Antonia opened the briefcase and we reviewed the documents. We called the notary and bank, using connections to rush processes that normally took weeks. In 2 hours, Sarah's Delights Bakery no longer belonged to me, but to a holding company I controlled. Any major financial decision required my signature and at least 2 administrators I'd named, Antonia and my brother Michael. Sarah remained a beneficiary, getting her allowance, but she couldn't sell, transfer, or use the business as collateral. Most importantly, her future husband had no claim, regardless of their marital property regime. While Antonia finalized the online procedures, I checked on Sarah. She was lunching with her bridesmaids, laughing and sharing childhood stories. My heart ached. Was this her last moment of true happiness? I hesitated at the door watching her. It was my duty to protect her, even if it meant hurting her. But how to tell her without ruining her special day? How to prove what I'd heard? "Mr. Richard," Carla, the wedding planner's voice, snapped me back. "Everything okay?" The musicians need guidance on when to start. "Yes, I'm coming," I replied automatically. Back in the lobby, Antonia handed me a folder. "It's done," she said. I signed as witness. Michael sent the digital power of attorney. The asset transfer is complete. Ethan can't touch a thing even if he marries Sarah. I sighed, feeling one weight lift but a heavier one settle. I'd safeguarded the estate, but what about my daughter's heart? "Richard," Antonia gripped my hands. "You have to tell her before the ceremony." "I know," I whispered, "but what if she doesn't believe me? If she chooses him anyway, she'll do it knowing the truth. She's an adult. She needs to make her own choices." Just then, I saw Ethan entering the lobby with his groomsmen, laughing as they adjusted their ties, oblivious to me. Rage surged back. "I'm telling her now," I decided. When I entered her room, Sarah was alone, fully dressed and ready. She looked like a princess in her white gown, the delicate veil framing her face. She smiled at me, but it faded when she saw my expression. "Dad, what's wrong? Did something happen?" I sat beside her, holding her hands. "Sarah, my love, I need to tell you something very hard." I took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "Today, when I went for your bouquet, I overheard Ethan talking to his groomsmen." I recounted everything, the cruel words, the mocking laughter. As I spoke, her face shifted from disbelief to confusion, then to a pain so deep I thought my heart would shatter with hers. "No," she shook her head, pulling away. "You must have misheard." "I know it's hard to believe, but no, honey. I heard it clearly." Her voice rose. "You've never liked him. You always thought he was with me for the money." "Sarah, I heard it with my own ears," I insisted calmly. "He called you horrible things. Said marrying you was a small price for getting his hands on the bakery." Tears streamed down her face, ruining her perfect makeup. "Why are you doing this today? Of all days." "Because I love you, and I'd rather you hate me now than find out when it's too late." She turned to the mirror, trying to hold back sobs. "I want to talk to him," she decided, grabbing her phone. "I'll ask him directly." "Sarah, he'll deny it. It's my wedding," she shouted,
something uncharacteristic for my sweet, composed daughter. My life, I decide what to do. She was right. It was her life, her choice. I've done my part by protecting the assets and
telling the truth. The rest was up to her. Okay, talk to him. But first, know this. I handed her a copy of the documents I'd signed with Antonia. What is this? I transferred the bakery to a holding company. You'll still get your allowance, but neither you nor Ethan can sell or use it as collateral. It's a protective measure I took today after what I heard. Sarah scanned the papers, her expression shifting from shock to outrage. You did this without asking me? How could you? It was necessary. If I'm wrong, it won't matter, but if I'm right. I left the sentence hanging. She stared at me for a long moment, silent tears falling. Then she called Ethan. Ethan, I need to talk now. It's urgent. Come to my room. Her voice trembled. After hanging up, she turned to me. I want you to stay, Dad. Hear what he says. I nodded, and we waited in tense silence. Minutes later, a knock. Ethan entered with his charming smile, dressed in an impeccable suit, hair slicked back, the picture of an eager groom. His smile faltered, seeing me. Sweetheart, what's wrong? Shouldn't you be ready for... He stopped, noticing her tears. What happened? Why are you crying? Sarah breathed deeply, wiping her face. I need to ask you something, Ethan, and be completely honest. He glanced at me, then back to her, uneasy. Of course, my love, anything. Are you marrying me for love or for the bakery money? The silence was deafening. I watched Ethan's face cycle through surprise, confusion, calculation, and finally feigned outrage. What kind of question is that? He stepped closer, trying to take her hands. Of course, for love. Where did this come from? Sarah pulled back. My dad overheard you in the groom's room. Said you called me a worthless pig, that marrying me was just a small price for the bakery. Ethan glared at me, then forced a laugh. And you believed him, Sarah? Your dad never liked me. He's making this up to split us. I'm not making anything up, I said evenly. I heard every word, Ethan. Prove it, he challenged, arms crossed. That's when I remembered. My phone. After the initial conversation, I'd stepped into the hallway and recorded part of it while they kept talking. In the shock, I'd acted on instinct and forgotten. I pulled it out and found the recording. There it was. I hit play. She's so pathetic, she actually believes me when I say I love her. And her dad, that old fool, slaving away day and night at the bakery. He has no idea that in 6 months, we sell it all and he goes back to the slums where he belongs. Ethan's voice filled the room, unmistakable, followed by laughter. And when she starts crying over nothing, she looks like a beached whale. I stopped it. Sarah's face was ashen, her eyes fixed on Ethan, who looked like he'd seen a ghost. Sarah, let me explain. He started, but she raised a hand. Explain what? Exactly. How you planned to use me and toss me aside. How you laughed at me with your friends. It was just stupid jokes. The guys were egging me on. I'd had too much to drink. He tried approaching again, but Sarah stepped back. Don't touch me. Her voice was ice. You were really going to sell the bakery. Everything my dad built. Everything we worked for. Ethan glanced at me, then her, his mask cracking to reveal the coldness I'd always suspected. And what's the problem? That bakery could be worth millions in the right hands. You two are so sentimental, clinging to it like it's something special. It is special, Sarah shouted, pain turning to fury. It's my dad's life. It's my life. Oh, please. Ethan rolled his eyes. You could have so much more. I was going to give you a life you can't imagine. With my family's money. What's the difference? Money's money. Sarah grabbed the documents I'd given her and threw them at his chest. Read this. My dad transferred everything to a holding company. You'll never touch a cent of our money. Ethan skimmed the papers, his face shifting from contempt to realization, then shock. He glared at me furiously. You can't do this. I already did, I said simply. He crumpled the papers and tossed them to the floor. This isn't over. I have friends, lawyers. I'll contest it. You can try, I challenged. But it'll be hard explaining to a judge why you deserve access to my family's assets after this recording. His rage turned calculating.
always the strategist. Ethan turned to Sarah, softening his expression. Sweetheart, let's talk privately. Your dad's putting ideas in your head. What you heard, I can explain. Dumb jokes. I'm nervous about the wedding. Said stupid stuff to impress those idiots. Sarah stared at him for a long moment. I saw her hands tremble, her chest heave unevenly. I feared she'd cave, that love would blind her again. Get out of my
room, she said finally, her voice low but firm. Sarah, please. Get out, she screamed, hurling a vase at him. It shattered against the wall, water and flowers scattering. Ethan backed away, stunned by the outburst. He shot me a look of pure hatred, then back to her. You'll regret this, he threatened. Both of you will. Then he slammed the door behind him. Once alone, Sarah collapsed to the floor, sobbing. I rushed to hold her, cradling her shaking body. My girl, my baby, my heart. Seeing her suffer like this felt like my soul was tearing apart. I loved him so much, Dad, she cried. How could he? How didn't I see? He was good at lying, honey, I whispered, rocking her like when she was little. And you're good at seeing the best in people. For nearly half an hour, we stayed like that on the hotel room floor, her $15,000 wedding dress splayed around us. The bouquet flowers crushed, makeup smeared, dreams shattered. When the sobs finally eased, Sarah lifted her swollen face. What do we do now? There are 200 people waiting for a wedding downstairs. We'll cancel, I said practically. It happens. People will gossip for a few weeks, then forget. But I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Ethan didn't seem like the type to accept defeat gracefully. His pride was wounded, and men like him were dangerous when humiliated. I'll have Carla tell the guests. We'll make something up, a sudden illness, whatever. Sarah nodded, wiping her tears. Let's get out of here. I don't want to see anyone. I helped her change and pack. We only told Antonia what happened. She'd handle the vendors and guests. I paid the hotel extra for discretion. Money always bought silence. As we slipped out the back, avoiding the lobby where early guests arrived, Sarah looked unrecognizable, not just from the lack of makeup and dress, but from the hardness now in her eyes. Something had fundamentally changed in her that afternoon. In the car, driving home, she broke the silence. Thanks, Dad, for saving me from him. I squeezed her hand. That's what I'm here for, honey, always. What we didn't know was that Ethan wouldn't take the humiliation lying down. In the days ahead, we'd discover just how far he'd go for revenge. The morning after the canceled wedding, I woke to my phone ringing insistently. It was Antonia, her voice tight. Richard, have you seen the internet today? No, just woke up. Why? Ethan's posting awful things about you and Sarah. It's everywhere. I jumped out of bed, grabbing my tablet. With shaking hands, I opened social media. What I saw chilled my blood. Ethan had posted a lengthy rant claiming he'd been the victim of a cruel setup by a psychotic father-in-law who couldn't stand losing control over his daughter. He alleged I'd manipulated Sarah her whole life, isolating her from relationships to keep hold of her and the bakery. Worse, he'd edited my recording, splicing parts to make it seem like he was just responding to his friend's provocations. The narrative painted me as a bitter, controlling schemer, and it worked. The comments were brutal, people siding with him, calling me a monster, saying Sarah had dodged a marriage that would have trapped her further under my toxic influence. Dad, what's going on? Sarah appeared at my door, eyes puffy from crying all night. My phone won't stop ringing. I looked at my daughter, her face still etched with fresh betrayal, and hesitated. She was hurting enough, but hiding the truth would only worsen it. Ethan's spreading lies about us, honey. He edited the recording, twisted everything. Sarah took the tablet and read, her face paling with each line. When she hit the comments, silent tears fell. He's destroying our reputation, I murmured, feeling helpless. The bakery, our clients, suppliers, friends, everyone was seeing this. Ethan was flipping the script, playing the victim and casting us as villains. That same day, 3 more blows hit. Protesters showed up outside the bakery with signs calling us abusers and manipulators. 2 major companies that bought our products called to cancel contracts. And worst, close friends started avoiding us, some even sending accusatory messages.
How can people believe him so easily? Sarah asked, sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her cooling coffee untouched. They've known us for years. People love a scandal, honey. And Ethan knows exactly how to manipulate public opinion. Over the next 10 days, things only worsened. Ethan gave interviews to local blogs. He appeared on a popular podcast, tearing up as he spoke about being deceived by a family he truly loved. Each appearance was crafted to seem sincere and emotional. Meanwhile, we struggled to keep the bakery running, but customers dropped sharply. Employees quit fearing
association with the scandal. Even the bank called for a meeting, worried about our ability to repay the loan for our recent expansion. Sarah was devastated. The light had gone from her eyes. She barely ate or slept. One night, I found her in her room, sitting in the dark, scrolling through old photos with Ethan. "I was such an idiot," she murmured as I sat beside her. All the signs were there. The way he always asked about the bakery, how he got more interested after we expanded. "You weren't an idiot, honey. You were deceived by someone who made it his craft. People think I'm weak, that you control me." She looked at me, eyes red. "That's what hurts most. Like all our work together as partners was some kind of abuse on your part." I hugged her, my heart breaking again. Sarah had always been my pride. From a young age, she'd shown interest in baking, learning every recipe and technique. When I'd paid off the house loan and could reinvest, she suggested targeting corporate events. We worked as equals, despite the age and experience gap. And now Ethan was rewriting our history. On the 12th day after the canceled wedding, when we thought it couldn't get worse, Antonia showed up at our house with alarming news. "Ethan's filed a lawsuit against you," she said, placing papers on the kitchen table, claiming emotional damages, defamation, and breach of contract. "Breach of contract?" I asked incredulously. "What contract?" "He says there was a verbal agreement to make him a partner in the bakery after the wedding, and you, Richard, deliberately sabotaged it out of jealousy and control." "That's absurd," I exclaimed. "Absurd, but dangerous," Antonia warned. "He's hired Marcus Taylor." My stomach sank. Marcus Taylor was one of the city's most aggressive lawyers, known for turning simple cases into media bloodbaths that ruined reputations. He didn't just represent clients in court, he staged public spectacles. "And there's more," Antonia continued hesitantly. "Carla, the wedding planner, is on his side. She's saying she overheard you planning to sabotage the wedding weeks earlier." "What?" Sarah stood, outraged. "That's a lie. Dad worked day and night to make everything perfect." "I know," Antonia sighed. "But Ethan probably bought or threatened her. He has resources and is willing to use them." That night, after Antonia left, Sarah and I sat silently on the patio, staring at the stars. The bakery we'd built together was at risk, our reputation in shreds, a looming lawsuit hanging over us. "What are we going to do, Dad?" Sarah asked finally, her voice small in the dark. I looked at my daughter and felt determination rise within me. Ethan wanted war. He'd get war. "We're fighting back," I said firmly. "I didn't build a business from scratch, raise you alone, and overcome everything we've faced just to give up now." The next day, I called Elias Vaughn, a formidable lawyer I'd met years ago at a men's entrepreneurship event. He wasn't cheap, but he had an iron reputation and a stellar win rate. Elias listened to our story, reviewed the evidence, the original recording, signed documents, Ethan's posts, and nodded gravely. "He's playing dirty, but he made mistakes," he said, his eyes sharp with resolve. "First, the edited recording is detectable by any expert. Second, his accusations are defamatory. Third, he has no proof of that alleged verbal partnership agreement." "But what about the wedding planner?" I asked. "She's lying to back him." "We'll handle her," Elias assured. "Bought witnesses often have checkered histories. Leave that to me." Elias devised a two-pronged strategy, legal and public. We filed a countersuit for defamation and emotional damages. Simultaneously, he hired a crisis management firm to rebuild our public image. The following days were a whirlwind. Elias got a court order forcing Ethan to remove the defamatory posts. He complied, but the damage was done. The communications team advised against direct responses on social media, focusing instead on our work. "You have a solid story," explained Marcus, the PR specialist. Single dad building a business with his daughter, overcoming odds. We'll highlight that, not his accusations. We followed the plan, posting about the bakery's journey, sharing old photos of Sarah and me working together since she was little. Gradually, loyal customers voiced support, but Ethan wouldn't quit easily. 2 weeks after our countersuit, he struck again. He'd supposedly found former employees willing to testify that I created a toxic work environment, and Sarah was my puppet. Who are these ex-employees? I asked Elias furiously. I always treated everyone with respect. Mark Simmons and Patricia Gomez, he replied, checking notes. A chill ran down my spine. Mark was fired for harassment. Patricia tried embezzling from the register. Exactly. Elias smiled. Ethan didn't do his homework. We have documentation on both, including security footage of Patricia taking money. He's just handed us valuable ammo. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of hope. Ethan was getting desperate, making slips. As the legal battle unfolded, Sarah and I fought to keep the bakery afloat. We'd lost nearly 40% of clients, had to lay off 5 employees, and slash expenses drastically. Each day was a grind. Every bill paid a small win. One afternoon, as Sarah and I worked in the bakery kitchen, now with just 3 staff where we'd once had 15, the door opened. It was George, one of our oldest suppliers, whom we hadn't seen since the scandal. "Richard, Sarah," he said awkwardly, "can we talk?" I wiped my hands on my apron, exchanging a worried glance with Sarah. "Sure, George. Is something wrong?" "Actually, yes." He placed a folder on the counter. "I got an offer from Sweet Dreams to supply them exclusively. They offered double what I get from your orders." Sweet Dreams was our biggest local competitor. Owner Charles Montgomery had always been a respectful rival, until now. "But you came to tell us before accepting," I noted, seeing conflict in his eyes. "You were my first clients," he explained. "When I started growing organic fruits, no one wanted to pay fair price. You did. That saved my farm." Sarah touched his arm. "George, we understand. You have a family, if you need to take their offer." "It's not just that," he interrupted. "Charles approached me yesterday. When I asked why the sudden interest, he admitted Ethan had contacted him, suggested a partnership to, how did he put it, finish you off once and for all." My blood ran cold. Ethan was orchestrating a boycott of our suppliers. George nodded. "And clients too. Offering commissions to switch." "Why tell us?" I asked warily. "Because it's not right," he said simply. "I don't know what went down with that guy, but I've known you two for 10 years. You're honest people, and he's playing dirty." After George left, refusing Sweet Dreams' offer despite our urging him to consider it, Sarah and I sat stunned. "He wants to destroy us completely," I murmured. "All because of wounded pride," Sarah added bitterly. "And to think I almost married him." "We need to tell Elias," I decided. "This is economic harassment. There must be legal recourse." Elias listened intently, taking notes. "This is serious," he nodded, "but we need concrete proof. One supplier's word might not suffice." "What if we get more suppliers to testify?" I suggested. "George can't be the only one," Ethan approached. "That would help," Elias agreed. "But even better would be something in writing, recorded, an irrefutable proof of sabotage." It was Sarah who had the idea. Her eyes, once dulled by sorrow, now sparked with resolve. "What if we have one supplier pretend to accept his proposal? We could record him giving specific instructions." Elias pondered, then smiled. "That could work, but we must be careful. It has to seem natural, no entrapment, and legal in our state." The plan took shape. George agreed to act as bait, pretending to take Ethan's offer. Elias ensured the recording was legal and court admissible. Meanwhile, we faced the financial fallout from the smear campaign. We mortgaged the house to keep the bakery going. I spent sleepless nights crunching numbers, finding ways to cut costs without skimping on quality. One night I found Sarah crying in the empty bakery kitchen, staring at near bare shelves. "He's winning, isn't he?" she sobbed as I sat beside her.
He's going to destroy us." "No, honey," I said, holding her hands. "He can hurt us, make us bleed, but he won't destroy us." "How are you so sure?" I looked at our hands, hers that had learned to knead, mix, and create from such a young age, holding the same strength as mine. "Because people like Ethan only know how to tear down," I explained. "But us, Sarah, we know how to build, and rebuilding always takes more strength and courage than destroying." She hugged me tightly, and we stayed like that for a long time. The next morning we set the trap in motion. George was the perfect lure. As a supplier of organic fruits to several city spots, his switch to sweet dreams would hit our operations hard. Ethan would bite. Elias coached George on what he could say to avoid legal pitfalls. He'd wear a court-approved recorder hidden in his shirt pocket. The meeting was at a public cafe, with witnesses to confirm it. Sarah and I spent the day at the bakery, feigning normalcy while anxiety twisted our guts. Elias stayed with us, phone ready for updates. At 3:37 p.m., George called. "It's done," he said, voice shaky with
excitement. "I got it all recorded." Not only did he admit orchestrating a boycott, but he said things, well, you'll hear. An hour later, George, Elias, Sarah, and I gathered in the lawyer's office to listen. The audio was crystal clear. "So, Mr. Medeiros, Charles mentioned you're behind this Sweet Dreams offer," George began. "Charles talks too much," Ethan replied arrogantly, his voice unmistakable. "But yes, I'm funding part of his expansion in exchange for some strategic cooperation, like poaching suppliers from Sarah's Delights Bakery." A cold laugh followed. "Exactly. That bakery needs to vanish, along with those two's arrogance. Can I ask why the interest in ruining them?" "It's personal. Richard Thompson humiliated me, turned my fiancée against me. No one does that and gets away with it. No one." "I see. And after the bakery closes, suppliers like me keep exclusive deals with Sweet Dreams." A pause. "Then, probably not. Charles doesn't have the capital to sustain you all long term. This is just a means to an end. Which is destroying Richard Thompson, making that bastard pay for getting in my way, and the daughter, that idiot believed every lie I fed her. You're beautiful, Sarah. You're special, Sarah," he mimicked sweetly, then laughed cruelly. So desperate for attention, she'd swallow any crumb I tossed. Sarah's stomach audibly churned in disgust. I gripped her hand tight. "But the most pathetic part," Ethan continued, "is how she pretended not to see I was only in it for the money. Who'd want a fat crybaby like her otherwise?" The talk went on a few more minutes, with Ethan detailing plans to isolate us using other suppliers and clients. When it ended, heavy silence filled the office. Sarah had tears in her eyes. Not sadness, but pure rage. "Is this enough?" I asked Elias. He nodded, a slow smile spreading. "More than enough. This proves malicious economic interference and dismantles his media and court narrative." "What now?" "First, add it to our suit against him. Second, use it strategically in public opinion. We won't release the full recording, too harsh on Sarah, but selected parts showing his intent." "And Charles Montgomery?" George asked. "He's involved but seemed uneasy. I'll talk to him separately. He could be a useful witness against Ethan." The next morning, Elias held a press conference. He chose clips revealing Ethan's true motives without the cruelest insults to Sarah. The response was swift and overwhelming. Media that had attacked us now rushed to report the truth. Former clients reached out with support. Social media, once a battlefield against us, filled with solidarity messages. Charles Montgomery issued a statement distancing himself from Ethan and apologizing for his role. "I was manipulated and pressured," he wrote. "Market competition should be fair, based on quality, not sabotage." But the final blow came 3 days later, when a major blog published an explosive exposé. 2 of Ethan's ex-girlfriends came forward with similar stories, how he'd manipulated them for financial gain, insulted them privately while playing the charming prince publicly. Ethan tried defending himself, claiming the recording was doctored, that he was being persecuted. But it was too late. The tide had turned completely. 2 weeks after the conference, we received a settlement offer. Ethan would drop all claims if we dropped ours.
He's desperate, Elias noted. His image is ruined. Clients are fleeing his consulting firm. No one wants to associate with him. Should we accept? I asked, looking to Sarah, leaving it to her. My daughter, who'd grown so much through this ordeal, shook her head firmly. No, she said calmly but resolutely. He tried to destroy us, not just financially, but emotionally. He wanted me to believe I was unworthy of real love. I want him to face full legal consequences. Elias smiled proudly. I agree completely. With our evidence, I guarantee significant repercussions. The case proceeded. 3 months later, the judge ruled. Ethan was convicted of defamation, malicious business interference, and harassment. He was ordered to pay substantial damages and issue a public retraction. The bakery began recovering slowly. Clients returned, new contracts signed. The road was long, but we were on it. One afternoon, as Sarah and I tested a new recipe in the kitchen, she broke the comfortable silence. Dad, do you ever wonder how long it would have taken me to realize the truth if I'd married him? I watched her focused face as she measured ingredients precisely. I don't know, honey. Maybe days, maybe years. What's important is we know now. Sometimes I think I should thank you for overhearing that conversation on the wedding day, she continued without looking up. But other times,
I feel I should have trusted you right away without needing proof. I gently turned her face to mine. Sarah, you loved him. Love blinds us sometimes. Don't blame yourself for doubting. She smiled sadly. I guess I learned the hard way that not everyone deserves our heart. It's a tough lesson, I agreed. But you survived. We survived. And came out stronger. That night, after closing the bakery, I lingered alone in the kitchen. I looked around at the ovens where thousands of desserts had been baked, the counters where Sarah learned to mix dough, the small office where we'd planned expansions. Ethan had tried to take all this from us, not just the business, but our dignity, reputation, and father-daughter bond. He'd nearly succeeded. But what saved us wasn't just the recording or legal strategy. It was our unbreakable connection. A tie no manipulator, no matter how cunning, could fully sever. A year after what we now call the almost wedding, our bakery hadn't just survived, it was thriving. The publicity, ironically, put us in the spotlight. Our story of resilience against a vengeful conman resonated, especially with women. We got invitations to speak at women's entrepreneurship events. Sarah, initially hesitant to share publicly, found her voice. She used her experience to warn others about manipulative relationships. The greatest danger, she'd say in her talks, isn't the obvious enemy, but the one who poses as your biggest admirer while plotting your downfall. One night after an event, a young woman approached Sarah in tears. Your story saved me, she confessed. I was about to hand over full control of my family's business to my fiancé. After hearing you, I noticed red flags I'd ignored. Moments like these healed something deep in Sarah. Her personal pain turned to purpose. What was once shame became strength. As for me, I learned my own lessons. Chief among them, never underestimate what a father will do to protect his daughter. The day I heard Ethan call my daughter a worthless pig, something primal awakened in me, a force I didn't know I had. I also learned about forgiveness, not for Ethan, who never showed real remorse, but for myself. For months, I'd tortured myself, wondering if I could have prevented it all, if I'd missed signs or skipped questions. Elias, now a close friend, helped me see Ethan was a seasoned predator. People like him excel at hiding intentions. The bakery expanded to a second location. We hired more staff, including 3 women who'd lost jobs in the pandemic. We started a small training program for single parents, teaching basic baking so they could work from home. One quiet afternoon, as the first batch of bread came out and cinnamon scented the air, Sarah called me to the office. Dad, I have something to show you. She opened her laptop to an email from a publisher inviting us to write a book about our story and the bakery's journey. What do you think? She asked, eyes sparkling. I think we have a story worth telling, I replied, smiling. We started writing that week. The process was cathartic. Reliving painful moments wasn't easy, but narrating our truth in our words, free of distortions, was liberating. The book came out 8 months later. Sweet Revenge,
how I saved my daughter and our business from a con man. It became a modest hit, mainly among entrepreneurial women and single parents. We heard through the grapevine that Ethan had left town after the trial. His consulting firm folded. His reputation was irreparably tarnished. He tried starting over elsewhere, but the internet remembers. Last we knew, he was selling used cars. One night after a book launch, Sarah and I returned home exhausted but fulfilled. We sat on the patio with tea, watching the stars. "You know what's strange, Dad?" she mused. "If I'd married Ethan, I'd be seen as successful by conventional standards, a handsome, seemingly successful husband, maybe a big house. And profoundly unhappy," I finished softly. "Used, humiliated in private, probably cheated on." She sipped her tea. "I've thought a lot about success patterns, how we're taught from girlhood that marriage is the big goal, especially for women." I nodded, understanding perfectly. I'd absorbed those values young, feeling like a failure for raising a daughter alone after her mother left us. "You know what else I learned?" Sarah continued. "True relationships are partnerships, not transactions. Ethan saw me as a means to an end. You always saw me as a whole person, worthy of love and respect." Tears welled in my eyes. "You've always been my greatest pride, Sarah, from the very first moment. That's why I've decided something." She straightened, taking that posture I recognized for big decisions. "I'm getting my master's in business management. I want to expand the bakery further, maybe to other states. And yes, someday I'll marry, have kids, but because I want to, not for validation or because it's expected." I squeezed her hand, my heart overflowing with pride. "You'll be amazing at whatever you choose." 2 years after that patio talk, Sarah's Delights had grown to a chain with 4 locations. Sarah was in her final master's semester, implementing strategies that boosted efficiency by 30%. As for me, I stepped back from daily operations, trusting Sarah and our talented team, not from disinterest, but knowing it was time for her to lead fully. We still lived together, but Sarah had bought her own apartment, remodeling it gradually. "It's important we have our spaces," she explained. "But we'll always be partners, Dad." On a particularly busy morning, with the main bakery buzzing and fresh bread scenting the air, I spotted a familiar face entering. It took seconds to recognize Carla, the wedding planner who'd falsely testified for Ethan. She looked nervous, glancing around as if expecting to be thrown out. Sarah was at the register, smiling at customers. When she saw Carla, her smile flickered briefly. I approached, curious and wary. "Richard," Carla greeted softly. "Sarah, I came to apologize." We exchanged surprised looks. "Ethan threatened me," she continued. "Said he'd ruin my event business if I didn't back his story. I just invested all my savings and was scared." She swallowed. "It's no excuse, I know, but I wanted you to hear that I regret it deeply." Sarah glanced at me, then Carla. For a moment, I thought she'd ask her to leave. Instead, she offered a fresh sweetbread from the oven. "Thanks for coming," my daughter said simply. "That takes courage." Carla took it, tears in her eyes. "You've built something incredible here, something honest. I'm so sorry I nearly helped destroy it." After she left, Sarah turned to me with a sad smile. "Forgiveness is a choice too, right?" "One of the hardest," I agreed. That small reconciliation seemed to symbolize all we'd endured and learned. Ethan tried destroying us by weaponizing our insecurities, turning Sarah's kindness to weakness, my paternal protection to toxic control. But he failed because he underestimated what true love builds: a business, a father-daughter bond, or personal character. Those things can be attacked, even damaged, but they hold a resilience no lie can fully crush. That night, as we closed the bakery, I watched Sarah handle final details, checking tomorrow's orders, smiling at departing staff. I couldn't help thinking back to overhearing Ethan's cruel words, the pain and rage that consumed me, the fear of losing my daughter to a user. In that desperate moment, I'd chosen to fight for truth, even if it cost her love for me. It was the hardest decision of my life. Now, seeing Sarah strong, confident, and truly happy, I knew it was the right one. "What are you thinking, Dad?" she asked, noticing my gaze.
About how the worst moments can lead to the best places, I replied, smiling, and how proud I am of the woman you've become. She hugged me, and in that embrace was our whole story: love, pain, struggle, and finally victory. Not just over Ethan, but over all he stood for: lies, manipulation, the notion that love is a weakness to exploit. We'd learned the hard way that true love isn't blind but sees clearly and chooses to love anyway. And that truth, however painful in the moment, is always the surest path home. Now, if you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments what part left you jaw-dropped. Oh, and don't forget to become a member for access to exclusive videos I don't post here. I'll see you there. Amen.